Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 587 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Jeff Cohen, and he's got one of the best lines we've ever had on this show. Put your tush on my cush. he'll have to explain that to you. I told him he has to send me some granola bars too for being on the show. So we'll have him on in a minute. A lot of interesting things, the colorful background this guy has. So I hope you didn't miss episode 586. That's, I think, the shortest podcast episode I ever did, 8 minutes, that could change your business life, talking about an audio tool that you can get for free, and you're crazy if you don't do it. So that was episode 586 called Speak Pipe, P-I-P-E. All right, make sure you grab a copy of our automation ebook. This ebook has helped me handle up to 150,000 subscribers and 65,000 customers without pulling my hair out. And you're going to thank me if you do the darn things in the book. So many people fight with their computer because they say, oh, I'm not technophobe. Yeah, forget that. It doesn't matter. I got 82-year-old senior citizens doing this stuff. So there's no longer an excuse for that. In this book, there's probably 60 or 70 pages of all the techniques I use to be lightning fast on taking care of customers and prospects, not fighting with my computer. So grab your copy at screwthecommute.com/automate-free, screwthecommute.com/automate-free. While you're at it, pick up a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP, where you can put us on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. Now, we're still going strong with our scholarship program for persons with disabilities. We have a GoFundMe campaign set up at my school at imtcva.org/disabilities. Wow, it is something you could really be proud of supporting. These people, 2 of the people are blind and they're shooting better videos than I do. So there's no excuses anymore that you can't do this, and we're going to change their lives for the better. So check that out at my school website. Of course, it'll be in the show notes along with Jeff's great stuff. All right, let's bring on the main event. Jeff Cohen's a seasoned entrepreneur. He's founded and grown multi-million-dollar technology and manufacturing businesses. He presents, I forgot to ask him how to pronounce this, Countable, I think is the, it's like
Perfect.
a count. Is that right? Good, I got it.
You did great.
All right, as the new and rapid success framework that guides CEOs to make this happen. Now, he was on Shark Tank on season 1, and he was the first company that the Shark Tank people ran a success story on him in season 2. So, Jeff, are you ready to screw?
I am so ready. You have no idea.
All right. So nice to meet you, man.
Hey, it's great to meet you too, Tom. Thanks for having me.
I'm holding you to that granola bar thing, man. You're going to have to tell us about that. Now let me say it again. Countable. Is that right?
That's right.
It's like a cereal, isn't it? That's Count Chocula. Sorry.
That's okay. You could just, count anything, right?
Tell us about that. What's that concept all about?
Most people in the world have a relationship to the word accountable, right? And when you look at most companies, whether there's 2 employees or 2,000, there's something about knowing that someone is responsible for something and it's going to get done that really makes a difference for the leadership. The problem with that is most people don't view accountability like a good thing, because most of the time when they hear it, someone is being held accountable. And whenever you're being held anything, it's not good.
At gunpoint.
Right.
That's one that comes to mind.
Well, yeah, right. So as I started working, thank you for that great introduction. As I started working in my career, and I worked for big companies like IBM and ADP, but then I started my own in the early 2000s, and we grew very rapidly. It was me and a partner, and then suddenly there was another person, And then suddenly we had another partner and we had big accounts that we were working with, and we grew really fast. And we had a framework for how to write software quickly. And we were teaching that to people. It's called Agile Software Development. But during that whole period, what I learned was I was here running a business, and there were people in the company that I needed stuff from. And rather than holding them accountable, what I did was scream and yell at them. And that didn't work either. And it created a really negative environment. Over the course of my life, though, you mentioned the Shark Tank episode and my granola bar business, and even something I did when I was in college. Thank you for bringing Tush Kush back to mind. When I went back around 2012, 2013, after I was recently divorced, I started really doing some serious soul searching and looking at myself. And I noticed there were some things I didn't like. So I took a program called the Team Management and Leadership Program. It was a 2-year program. It was very intensive and gave me the ability to really take a serious look at me. And what I found is that I was a shitty boss, that I was holding people accountable without actually being accountable myself. And then I started talking to other business owners and entrepreneurs. And you know what I found out? They felt similarly. And so I got about 50 CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners together in groups of 7 and 8. And we really started looking at what wasn't working in the world for our businesses. And what we found is that people did not communicate effectively, and they had no idea what they could count on their people for. And so Count Honorable comes out of the notion that accountability sucks. People don't want to be held accountable. It's got a negative connotation. However, if you show me someone that doesn't say you can count on me for this and has pride in it, I would be surprised. Because when people know what they're count honorable for and are able to say, Tom, you can count on me to show up on time for this meeting. You can count on me to get the job that I'm qualified to do done. But you can't count on me for something else, whatever that is. Now they have confidence in what they're doing. Their life has shifted. You as a business owner have a renewed faith in your people, and you're looking for how to build that throughout your organization and in your life.
Well, how come it took you so long to figure this out? I mean, your dad told you were an entrepreneur at 8 years old, didn't he?
He did.
Didn't he teach you this?
He did say I was an entrepreneur at 8 years old. I'll tell you why. I'm really thick-skulled. It takes a really long time for me to figure things out. But I promise you, Tom, once I have them figured out and I know that they work, I'm unstoppable when it comes to sharing it with people, which is why I wrote this book.
Well, that's yeah. Then when's it coming out?
It's coming out on June 14th.
Okay, so I think this will play by then, but they can. We got a special surprise for them at the end that they might be able to get a sneak peek, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll hold that back for just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But you mentioned my dad, and I just want to say, everything that we do as business owners comes back to something about our lives as we grew up. And my dad was a really amazing man. He was very entrepreneurial, but he worked in big companies. And then he became a stockbroker because he wanted to do something on his own and be able to count on him and not, have to deal with boards of directors. And he did, and was very successful at it. When you mentioned he called me an entrepreneur, Tom, would you like me to share that story?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a couple of stories in the very beginning of the book. I'm not going to tell you the first one, but if you go to my website, counthonorable.com, it will give you the ability to get that first chapter sent to you for free. But the second chapter is about an episode when I was 8 years old, and I was very enterprising as a kid. I had a lemonade stand on the corner when I was a teeny weeny tiny bopper. And at 8 years old, though, my dad and I were really into sports together. So I went ahead and I wrote all of the sports teams in the country, every single one of them. It was the same exact letter. It was 3 lines. Hi, my name is Jeff. I'm in 4th grade. Please send me stickers.
That's a good sales letter.
Right?
Yeah.
And my mom put the stamps on the letters and took me to the mailbox to mail them. And I was really proud. And I had no idea what would come out of that. I was hoping I would get a couple of stickers.
Mm-hmm.
I got a pile of stickers with Choco Horse. I could not believe the number of stickers. And by the way, these weren't the cheap little stickers. No.
Like the helmet stickers and stuff.
Yeah, these were like the Mylar shiny stickers. I remember my favorite one at the time was the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Had this great gold and silver and black.
Yeah.
And anyway, well, my friends loved them too. And when I went to my mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, can I put them on my wall?" She was a big fat no. And I love my mom, but I really hated that answer. But that answer turned me into an entrepreneur because I put the stickers on my notebook, went to school, and suddenly my friends were saying, "Do you have any more?" Instead of giving them stickers that I got for free, I charged them money.
I'm picturing like a drug deal, like in the locker, like, "Here, give me some money. Here's a sticker."
Oh my God, that's exactly what it was. I got shut down by the principal.
Or you're lucky you didn't ask for a cut. That's that's the way they are now.
Well, what happened was at the point where I got shut down, I sold almost all of them and I made $50. And my dad says to me, "Jeff, you're an entrepreneur."
See, if it had been me, I'd have had a new letter. I'm in 5th grade now. You give me some stickers? Or I got held back to 4th grade because
right, exactly.
All right, now you did something that I thought was brilliant, and I'd like you to talk about that with the Borland Company, where you saw a gap in a major company's, I guess, launch or something, and you filled it. So tell them about that.
So it was turn of the millennium, right?
Turn of the century. Yeah.
It was turn of the century too, but they Borland, a big software company at the time, had been around since the 70s. They bought a company I was working for, and at the same time they bought another company. And these 2 companies that they bought were just stellar acquisitions. I mean, they all of the people I highly regard to this day in both companies. And what Borland did was they took these 2 companies and dismantled their services departments. Now, what you just want to know is that Borland at the time sold boxes of software. They didn't actually have professional services. They relied on other companies that wanted to use their software to do those professional services. But the 2 companies they bought, TogetherSoft that I was with and Starbase, another company, those 2 companies had very complex solutions that were highly valuable to big organizations. The problem was that when you bought one of their products, you generally needed some level of expertise to help architect how you did it. And I don't know what Borland did, but what made them do this, but they spent $80 million just on TogetherSoft. I forgot what they paid for Starbase. And then they proceeded to let go of all of the services professionals that were the secret sauce that had customers raving about the tool.
There's probably some greedy executives trying to rape the company and get the profits up. That's probably what it was.
It's entirely feasible. So what I did was I approached one of my friends at the time that had been one of those senior developers. He'd written a book on this agile development process. And I said, hey, does it look to you like something's missing here? He goes, oh yeah, big time. I said, well, how would you like to start a company and fill that gap? And he goes, yeah, I just don't have any capital. I said, no problem, Mac. I'll cover you while we get started. And I was, excited to just be with someone that was a subject matter expert and connected, right? And I would, help create the company, get the word out. He would start doing services. And we started in January of 2003. And the company was called Process Exchange. Now, we did not have a space between process and exchange. And I just invite you to write those two words next to each other without a space.
Sex exchange, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I do a lot of these in my speeches, these funny combinations. This one guy came up to me to ask me for a critique of his stuff. He was on intellectual property, and he got the website ipmoney.com. And I'm like, I started laughing. I thought he was kidding me. He got all mad at me.
I love it. Well, here's the thing, it's so funny when you think you're doing something that's negative. So within a month, we got a phone call from Borland. I get a phone call. I was still employed by them at the time. I went with the acquisition while we were forming the company. Hey, Jeff, you're connected to Mac, right? He's the guy with that sex change company. So we made it splash, if nothing else.
That's for sure. So
it also caused us another problem with some of the big companies we dealt with, because they would block all our emails.
Well, there's something that you've done in your career. I mean, when they call you crazy, you know you're doing something right. But I'm not sure you're suggesting this to small business people too much anymore. But you mortgaged your house a couple times to keep things going, right?
I would not suggest that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But you did.
In fact, what I would say to anybody thinking about doing it is call me. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Call me. There's another way to turn your business around than to take a mortgage against your house.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely.
I remortgaged my house, as did one of our other partners that joined as well. It was the single biggest mistake ever made in my entire life. And I did it because I was in survival mode at the time. And Maslow's hierarchy?
Yep.
Well, I needed air, and that air was money, right? I was growing a rapidly fast-growing business. It was a cash drain. We would have been profitable had we done things differently. Instead of doing things differently, I said, let's prop up the company and put money in it. And that was a mistake.
Well, I'm not sure it was the biggest mistake, and I'm not revealing anything that you didn't put in your book, but you did talk about being an entrepreneur that was, I'll have to say, ignoring your family a little bit, and that was quite a mistake, wouldn't you say?
Oh my gosh, Tom, it was more than a mistake. I mentioned to you just before we got started, I've got a little foster daughter, my wife, my second wife.
So that's a good thing. Things always work out, but
Well, no, there's something that was enormously missing at the time. I was working from home. My kids' bedrooms were right next to my office, and I hardly ever saw them. Like, I wouldn't stick my head out to say hi. I was so wrapped up in what I was doing, I forgot to nurture and care for the most important relationships in my life.
That's why I said it was a bigger mistake than the mortgage.
It was. And, I think one of the things that I did, and I don't know if other people have had this experience though, is got so caught up in saving something that you drive everybody you care about away. And that's what I did. And I'll forever regret that. When I did get a divorce, my kids wouldn't talk to me for 2 years. It's now to a point where I actually have a great relationship with them. And I have a granddaughter, and like, I love them to death. But I will tell you, it was, sitting in front of the Sci-Fi Channel for 8 hours a day, ignoring everything else that was going on when I was incredibly depressed. That's something that I'll always remember and really keep close, to know that, hey, when times are tough, talk to somebody, talk to anybody, get some help. When someone says to you, Jeff, you look really bummed out, can I help you? Say yes.
Well, telling your story is going to help a lot of other people. So if you can make anything good out of it, that's probably what will happen. So,
Yeah.
authority without accountability, or vice versa, accountability without authority. What do you say about that?
Well, so all that is being bossed around. People hate being bossed around, don't they?
Yeah,
Like,
you know what boss spells backwards? Double,
SOB.
yeah, double SOB.
Right. Well, yeah. So, in my career, the very first time that I actually had the word accountability used with me was when I was over in Belgium with a software company. And I had worked for big companies, and I had no one had ever come to me and said, Jeff, you're accountable for. They always said, Jeff, your responsibilities are. Suddenly I was accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went and looked that word up, in the dictionary, it says held responsible for. And there's that word held.
Yeah.
So I immediately started noticing all of the areas that I did not have authority, but I was being held to account for those areas. And it made for a very short career with that company, because as an employee, I know what I'm good at. I know what you can count on me for, right? Not everybody does. Most people take their resume out, they go interview for a job, or they go to hire someone and they look at the resume and they look for all the things that have been done in the past. And there is so much missing in that process. And because there is, people never actually get to do the jobs that they have strengths in, that they love doing, and that they're good at. Sometimes they do, but what companies often do, and all of your listeners that are looking to hire their first employee or their 100th employee, this is the gold in my book. There are steps to hiring people I outline in the book that will help you know what the strengths and weaknesses of the person is that you're looking to hire, what they're good and not good at, what they like doing and hate doing. And even after you make a hiring decision, you'll still go to them and you'll say, hey, Joe, by the way, can you also do something else that's not anywhere near the realm of responsibilities you've been hiring them for? And Tom, they're looking for a job. They're motivated to get this job. What do you think they're going to say?
Yeah, of course. I can do anything.
Right.
I'll wash your car. Don't worry about it.
Right. And now you've just taken your A employee that you just hired and turn them into a B employee, because now they're going to disappoint you, because you have no idea if that extra task is something that they're actually up to doing.
Now, couldn't you turn that around and ask them if there's some other things that they think they'd like to do at the company?
There absolutely is that opportunity, 100%.
Okay.
However, there's two main topics in the book that the process I developed and I'm patenting, that process addresses. The first one is trust. Your employees are always looking for where trust is falling out. And that happens because the second one, which is alignment, does not always exist. You're the CEO, you're the business owner, you're the one that's founded the company, whatever your role is. You've gone ahead and you've said, we're going to do these things. And then the next time the person that reports to you hears about it is while they're in the middle of doing something else, and you pick up the phone and you call them and you say, hey, when are you going to get this other thing done? And you caught them off guard. They're not ready for the conversation. And frankly, it's a bad time. But they indulge you because you're the boss. And that just doesn't work. Just flat out doesn't work, Tom.
Now, could these same techniques work for contractors?
These same techniques work with your family.
Okay.
I mean, I have avoided so many arguments with family, like my wife, right? Simply because when your readers read chapter 1, there's something I call a trigger. It's the thing that sets you off. It's the thing that ticks you off more than anything else. And rather,
all right, hold on.
Not answering or pushing it off, you answer.
All right, hold on. I'm psychic. Let me do something here. Jeff, why did you come on this show?
Okay, so Tom, I know you read the book, and you know that word "why" is my number one trigger.
I know. So I waited till near the end.
But I just want to let you know that the way you used it,
it was okay.
Not my trigger. But if you said to me, Jeff, why were you late to the show today? I would have immediately gotten defensive and said, no, I wasn't. I was early.
If you're not early, you're late. That's what we say around here.
There you go.
So, so it can work for contractors.
It can work for contractors. Everybody. It can work for it works for anybody that's communicating with other people in an environment where they want to get something done.
Okay, that sounds good. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to talk about punishing somebody and really just crushing them when they come and confide with you and how good that is for your business.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait.
So, folks, I don't know, 25 years ago or so, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, and that people at my level were charging 50 or 100 grand up front to small business people to teach what they knew. And I knew a lot of these people. Rip-offs, they'd be hiding out somewhere, and they'd never help you. So I said, I'm going to fix this. I'm a small business advocate. So I charged an entry fee. It was like 10 times cheaper than those guys were trying to get money out of you. And I didn't get my 50,000 unless you netted 200,000. So I tied my success to your success. And this program's the longest running, most successful internet and digital marketing mentor program ever. Most unique also. You have an immersion weekend at the Great Internet Marketing Retreat Center. You get 2 trips to my TV studio where we shoot videos for you, edit them, send them to you. It's one-on-one, so you're not lumped in a group where you're lost half the time, or you're wondering, or you're bored half the time. So very, very powerful program. So once people found out they could get in and get access to this for a much lower fee, they kind of like that. And 1,700 plus students later, and 25 years, like I said, it's the longest running ever, most successful in this field. So check out the details if you really want to kick butt online business at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. All right, let's get back to the main event. We got Jeff Cohen's here, and he is the author of Count Onable. And Jeff, I was just teasing about one of your big ideas about punishing people when they share something. Tell them about that.
Well, it's actually the other side of that coin, which is, it's really about trust, right? In order to have trust, you've got to have a relationship with people, and it's a two-way street, right? It doesn't just go one way. So for trust to exist, you need to have some shared values. People need to know what they're good at doing and what they're capable of. And then there's got to be effective communication. But when trust gets broken, or someone decides to say, look, I'm not qualified to do something, or I can't do that, or I'm not going to do that. In most companies and most individuals will put them in the penalty box, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll take them out. And, when you do that, you can't expect your business to move at the pace you want it to move. This is not hockey. We don't have a penalty box. It's the last thing you want when you run a business. You want your people to be productive. So you want to find ways of identifying what productive is for each person. And it's got to be very individual. And then it's got to be shared so the company knows who's countable for this and who's countable for that.
Yeah, and you said if you punish somebody when they confide in you, then they're going to hide the truth from you forever after that.
That's what you're teaching them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's one other thing I want to talk about before we leave. I'm going to tell you a story about, I was an early morning. I was doing a consultation for another professional speaker at their home in La Jolla, California. And so it's early morning and I'm there at the house and we're in the living room and they had a big picture window there. And so I'm teaching them stuff. And then all of a sudden, I thought I was in an Alfred Hitchcock movie. A big shadow came, as you know, the weather out there is beautiful. It's severe clear, they call it, and so this big shadow comes over the front window. It was a hot air balloon that covered the window. And I know you've got a lot of colorful hobbies, paragliding and skydiving and everything else.
Yeah, I think I may have paraglided over that same home in La Jolla, right over Black's Beach
I think that's where it was.
Yeah. Is the glider port where I did my paragliding from. And boy, I'm telling you, what a gorgeous, gorgeous place that is, and something I'm anxious to do again.
Yeah, I did skydiving before they made you go with somebody else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was, they tied you to the static line and they threw you out of the plane. And there's a radio hanging around. It's a big box. It was a kind of a speaker, actually, is what it was. And they could talk to you from the ground, but they couldn't hear you screaming. There's only one way. It's called simplex. But I ended up like a bird. You just land into the wind, you pull the things, and I landed standing up, and I couldn't believe it. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. But I didn't have to have anybody hanging on my back to do it. So
no, I just put a post out there, a picture of when I went skydiving a few years ago. And but yeah, I mean, I love all of those things.
What's a yoga wall? What do you do? What is that?
So there's a specific type of yoga I practice called Iyengar yoga.
How do you spell that? How do you spell it?
That's a great question. But I promise you, anybody that knows Iyengar knows. So it's the name of a man that developed this particular.
All right, so Iyengar. Is that what
Iyengar, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so he uses a lot of props in what he does, and one of the props is a wall. And there are straps that you can attach to the wall, and it enables you to do different positions. The ones I like the most are the inversions, where you're hanging upside down, or your head is lower than your waist. And those are good for your heart and your respiratory system, and your brain gets more oxygen that way.
Wait a minute, Jeff. Wait a minute. You don't know my background, but I had a practical joke company where we did 4,000 practical jokes. So I know totally how to trick people. I've got a TV show in development in Hollywood called Scam Brigade that goes after people that are fraudulent. Okay. I guarantee you're just trying to describe a 50 Shades of Yoga wall or something and just pretending it's Iyer something.
Tell you what, subscribe to my my feed on Instagram or LinkedIn. I promise there'll be some pictures coming there soon.
Oh, I'm afraid to see those pictures. Geez, yeah, tied to the wall upside down. That's a new one. So tell them about your preview.
So we're launching the book on June 14th. And, you know, in the book, Tom, you'll probably remember this. Anything that I do, I've got to attach some fun to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I made a game out of the launch for me. And what the game is that I'd like on launch day to have 100 reviews of my book posted on Amazon.com when we go live.
Yeah, just be careful. Don't give any incentive because Amazon's really cracking down on that.
Right. So I'm not
or else do it very surreptitiously, put it that way.
Well, the incentive is that people will get to read the book. They'll get something from the book. And all I'm doing is I'm saying, if you're interested in previewing the book and writing a review and being in a position to spend the few pennies to buy the book on launch day and post a review, I would be grateful.
Beautiful. So where do they find out about this?
So they can go to my website, counthonorable.com.
It keeps making me think you're from Transylvania or something.
Right, exactly.
I'm Count Honorable. You should actually get an outfit made up.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Tom. I love it. So they go to counthonorable.com. The very first thing they'll see is a little pop-up window that says, if you're interested, please put your email address in and I'll send you the first chapter. Now, in the event that doesn't occur, just go to the information page where you can contact me and shoot me a note, and I'll be happy to reach out to you that way, because I know some people have pop-up blockers on.
Sounds good. Lots of great tips in that book, folks, to be a better leader, not a quote shitty one like Jeff said he was in the past. And after reading the book, I noticed, well, I might be one too. So thanks so much for coming on, man.
Hey, my pleasure, Tom. Great to meet you today.
Okay, everybody, we'll catch y'all in the next episode. Go to counthonorable.com. See you later.